Alright, let's get started. Hello. Let's get started. You think they could make it a little colder in here?
Yes, I think they could.
So, any questions on the homework before we begin? Who finished it? Oh, please.
I'm almost there.
Okay, let's see, what was this homework about? Garbage collector, yeah. So that wasn't so hard, was it?
I think we all have the logic, it's just we have trouble with pointers, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot of pointers in garbage collection, that's for sure.
The concept is simple, it's just the execution seems a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing makes sense, I just don't know how to do it exactly.
I think I'm coming up with double freeze. Like I freeze something that like wasn't marked, and maybe it shows up later on, and then it.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. So. I don't know if I have any generic good advice for how to continue here, except maybe using GDB a lot is good.
GDB is useless.
It's useless.
In this case, because I believe it's using its own tree or something, because when I run it normally, I get decent numbers. When I run it with GDP, I get much weirder numbers, and when I run it with Valgrind, I get no numbers.
Yeah, Valgrind I wouldn't suggest using, because Valgrind instruments the program that you're running, and it assumes that you're running regular malloc. And now if you're doing garbage collection in between there, I don't know what's going to happen. But GDB should be fine. It runs in its own process. We're going to make a debugger in a later homework, and we'll kind of know how that works. But it's just using the OS to sort of peek in at the process. So it doesn't really change the execution unless you have some strange effects going on. It shouldn't affect execution. And it certainly doesn't care about malloc. It doesn't know about malloc, I think. So, yeah, if you get different results with GDB, something really funny is happening there, I believe. Okay, so the topic of today then is getting our dynamic linking straight. And so we did the libraries last time. Man, it is really dark in here. Let's see if... No, that doesn't work. Okay. All right. Well, they say there's going to be the real projector is going to be fixed by Wednesday, and if it's not, then we are going to some other classroom. Okay. So last time we did our libraries, how to make libraries, how to link with them, and so on. So now the topic of today is really how this all works at runtime. Right, so static libraries, there's nothing to it. You just have a single binary, everything's in there. But with the dynamic libraries, it's a lot trickier. So the tricky bits there is that the library code doesn't know where it is in memory. So we dealt with that already with the position-independent code, right? The -fpic flag, which makes the code a little more inefficient. But on the other hand, it works no matter where it is in memory, which is nice. And then it doesn't really know what the globals are, so we have a little table to figure out that. We'll take a closer look at that table in a bit. And then the main thing here is that a program, your executable, doesn't actually know where the library is in memory at compile time. Right? It can show up in different places potentially, and it certainly doesn't know the internal layout of the library. So you might have different offsets between the beginning of functions depending on what version of the library you're using. So at runtime, you need to figure out where is my function. So the way it works is we actually have the string. Printf is, for example, and if we're using printf, the string printf is stored somewhere in our binary. When we're using it for the first time, there's a little piece of code, it's the dynamic loader, that takes that string and starts looking for it in all the libraries that have been loaded So we have all these dynamic libraries, we load them in memory, but we don't know really what's in them yet. So now we call some function, say printf. Now this little dynamic loader or linker, it runs through those libraries and tries to find the symbol printf. It finds that, and then it updates some tables, which we'll see in more detail. So that next time we want to use printf, then we know where it is immediately. Okay, so unfortunately, this is a little bit difficult to get your head around. So I thought we'd try to draw it too, and then we'll do the old GDB trickery to see what's actually going on. So we have two structures. We'll try to figure out why we have two structures as well. There's the global offset table. And this is a read-write structure. Right, so it's, but it's not executable. Okay, so it basically holds pointers. So there's for every 8 bytes or so, you got another pointer, right? Pointer to some function, for example. It doesn't have to be a function; it can also be a global variable. And so there's a whole bunch of these, right? And they go like this. Okay, and then on the other side we have our PLT, the procedure lookup table. And this is actually read-only. Yeah, this is read-only, but executable. So here, it's not actually much of a table. It's little bits of code. So there's a little bit of code that says. So we'll just write that out. I think it says, okay, jump to dereference. It'll start there. Global offset table 0. So we have a little bit of code there, but after this, it also says, okay, push 0 to the stack. This is the first entry. Maybe it should be 1 actually. Let's go with 1. Push 1 to the stack, and then it says jump to global offset table 0. So it keeps going like that. Well, let's make a couple more entries. The whole procedure lookup table looks like this. Except we have 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay. So now it gets, this is why do we have this whole complicated structure, right? You'd think, okay, I'm loading a library. Why don't I just run through all the symbols in my program and resolve them? Like figure out every reference to printf somewhere. I'll just replace it with a pointer to where printf actually is once I loaded the library. So there's a couple of reasons. One is, maybe the most important one, is performance. You could have tons and tons of these references, and you may not use all those references this time that you're running the program. So we want the program to start quickly. So how does this actually work? Well, at the top of our global offset table is not just some function. This is to dynamic link it. All right, so number 0 is a pointer to dynamic link. Let me just shrink that a little bit. So what happens here, so let's leave this in as well. I put up, and this is a pointer to right there. Has anyone seen this before? Who's seen this before? No, okay. So it looks awfully complicated, right? So my function, I have a program now, some program up here. It says call, and then it says PLT, like PLT2, right? So this call, instead of calling to printf, it calls PLT2. All right, so we go to 2. This call goes down here. Now what happens? It says jump to global offset table 2. So that's dereferenced, right? So we'll jump straight to whatever it says in the global offset table. Okay, so that's this one. And what happens then? Then we're back here. Okay. And now we're putting a 2 on the stack, and then we're calling global offset table 0. That's the dynamic linker. So the very first time we call this PLT2, we're going to do this whole little dance, going back to here, and then back to here, and then back to there. Okay, so what happens next time? Well, actually, when you get to this dynamic linker, it sees the 2. All right? That is a reference saying, okay, I am entry number 2 in this whole table. Right? This is printf. We have somewhere else there's a little structure referring to like the actual symbol name. I haven't seen this, but I'm assuming there must be such a thing in the binary. Okay, so now it says, oh yeah, I was number 2. All right, now we're calling the dynamic linker, and it's up to the dynamic linker to figure out, oh, for number 2, what's the actual address for this call? Right, so number 2 is then referred to printf somewhere. Dynamic linker figures out where is printf, runs through all our libraries, tries to find this symbol. It just looks in the symbol table of all the .sos. Right? We have these symbol tables. It says func, that there's a function in there. It'll just run through it until it finds it. And then it'll put the value that it comes up with, the pointer it comes up with, puts it in here. Right? So it doesn't change the procedure lookup table. It just puts the pointer in here. So here we go, pointer to printf. All right. So now we're done. Actually, I'm sure it's going to also run printf at the end of that. So the dynamic linker finds it, puts it in here, and then it runs printf for you the first time. What happens next time that we get a call to printf? This could be a call from somewhere else in my program, right? Anywhere else in my program. We still call PLT2. We go to here, but now the jump to global offset table 2 actually jumps to the beginning of printf. Right? So the very first time it gets looked up, the global offset table gets initialized, or that entry in the global offset table gets initialized. Next time we have it immediately. So it's not immediate, right? There's some extra cost involved here compared to a regular function call. What's the extra cost, do you think?
As I said, go to memory twice. Okay. It comes in on the procedure lookup table, which is one access to memory, then it's go out to global offset table, which is looking through memory again. Then it's going back over procedure lookup. So unless it's all in the cache, it's going to slow it down a little bit.
Right. So there's some extra memory accesses, and they're not particularly linear either. So when you make your call, we already have to make the call to printf, the jump to printf, so that doesn't cost anything extra. But now we're first calling to here, or we'll call this a jump perhaps. So we've got one extra jump to here, which means we have to find the executable code for the procedure lookup table. Now probably we've made calls to the PLT before. So probably much of those instructions, because it's a short table, are going to be in the cache. And then, of course, from here we do another dereference of the global offset table. So again, there's another instruction. So you got 2 jumps that you have to execute, and then you have 2 memory fetches. Probably the memory fetches aren't that bad, because most of the time they're going to be in the cache. So we lose a couple of instructions there on 2 jumps. Any ideas how we could do this differently? Do we need this procedure lookup table?
Just really just start putting the functions in the global offset table as they come in. Instead of having to tell it where it's at, tell it as number 2 all the time. It's going to point straight to the global offset table.
Right. So instead of here, you could just say call. You're saying this? Yeah, but then the problem is there isn't anything there.
Once it comes in there and they're just going to, there's just a null pointer in the global offset table, then tell it to update the pointer to.
Yeah, so there the problem is, right? How do we get? So we need the dynamic linker to get run somehow. So you could say put a pointer in here to the dynamic linker, And that'd be fine. Then we'd run the dynamic linker immediately. But how does the dynamic linker know who called? Oh, I suppose they could look at the return address. That's going to get really... That's probably going to get really hairy. Because then you also have to figure out like, what was the reference from there, but there might be a way to do that. Another option would be to put just this code, this whole thing, put it up here. Alright, so you just, instead of having to jump to the PLT, but then of course everything gets a little longer, there's a lot of replication there, may not be worth it. I suppose you could also skip the global offset table. Right? You don't need to have that. You could change this jump instruction. So you just edit the jump instruction directly and say jump directly to the library. In that case, this would have to be read-write, which I think introduces a little bit of a security risk. And now you have memory that's read-write and executable. We don't really want that. Because then you have you'll have someone coming in with a buffer overflow attack, dumping bad code into your writable memory and then executing it. It's nice if memory is either read-write or read-only and executable, just for safety. Okay, let's take this for a spin. See what actually happens in memory. Oh wow, I still have a working... No, I can't be. Right, broken pipe, that's what I thought. Okay, so here is my Ubuntu machine. This is now at Amazon. I thought just to be safe here, we'll go with a 64-bit because things will look a little bit different. So what do? Make a new program. I wanted to include Erno here because that's it's got a nice global variable that I thought we could use. See how that works. Actually, maybe not. Let's start with a simpler. So we go. That's a shame. This gray makes it almost unreadable. See, maybe. Okay. Should probably make it an int. All right. Oh, you think? Try that. Is it really bad in the back there? Can you see? No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Okay. So I'll play with that later then. Okay. So very simple call. Let's start with this. Make sure it runs. Whoa. Hello.
That's the problem we run into when we're doing our
Wi-Fi.
homework.
Is that UIC Wi-Fi messing with me? Did you notice the projector stopped flickering at the same time? What? Oh, there it is.
Whoa.
Okay. Nice. And no flicker. Very good. Okay, so we'll open this up. Actually, we'll need another window, I think. Let's see now. Thought I had it. Here, maybe. Yeah, okay. So the next homework is actually going to be quite a bit of bit twiddling. We're not going to, I think we won't write any C code. We'll get a binary, and then we're supposed to crack it. Right? So it's like a copy protected program or whatever you want, and we'll try to make it do our bidding. All right. I used to think when I was a kid, I used a lot of I shouldn't say this on recording, but I used a lot of pirated programs. So I think most people do it. And I thought these people that could crack them, they're gods. Right? So let's play God for this homework. But okay, so we'll need to use a little bit of these skills for that anyway. Okay, so here's our binary. So we'll start by looking for those sections. It's the procedure lookup table and the yeah, I suppose it's almost readable. Can we make it better? No. Okay. Anyway, here it is. There's our global offset table for the PLT. They have 2 separate places. This is for globals, I think, and this is for the actual function calls. And then we have, where's our PLT? Should be here somewhere. There. Okay, so that's the address for the PLT. This projector really stinks. Okay. I can hardly see it, and I'm up here.
It's not that bad here.
No? Okay, maybe it's just the angle. So let's take a look at it. So we'll start by disassembling our main. So what's happening here? Okay, so okay. Sorry, we again got the puts instead of printf, but it doesn't matter. Puts is also a library function, just like that. So we'll just roll with it. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're putting the address of our static string, right? That's the hello world string, into EDI. That just happens to be the place where 64-bit, the 64-bit ABI, they want you to put the first argument in EDI for some reason. And then we call printf, or puts. Okay, but I'm not actually calling puts, because we don't know where puts is. We're calling puts at PLT. So let's take a look at our PLT then. And this is a neat trick here. So I want to disassemble whatever's over there at that address. What's that?
Which address? Oh, it's one that you got far earlier.
Yeah, did I get it from the wrong place here? No, that should be it. Looks bizarre though. That's definitely not what we wanted. What's going on? So I was gonna show you this. Yeah, so now for some reason what? What's wrong with my address?
Is it not aligned because of
No, that should be fine. No, I'm missing something very obvious here, but that is the address. Thought I copied it right. But this is clearly not. This is not PLT. It's something completely different. Did I not? Ah, maybe I used the wrong. No, hello. Let's just see if maybe it needs to be running to be populated. Could be. What on earth?
Can you switch back to the other for a second?
I'll try if I can find it. There. Yeah.
It's not
Maybe you're going to want to above it. Maybe 4-7.
Yeah, is there something going on with it, like the text alignment here that's screwing it up? Okay, let me try with a wider console, and I'll just print it again. See if it. Oh,
Yeah.
Wrong binary. All right, there we are. So that might.
It was almost the same program, so it was tricky.
Yeah, I suppose.
We just had to call to put.
Okay, so let's see. Now we can get the right address to our PLT. All right, you're probably gonna make the same mistake at some point. Oh yeah, it's a different address. Good. Okay, so look at that. That's what you'll get if you just try to disassemble an address, because it needs to know what function. But if you tell it like how many bytes you actually want it to disassemble, then it'll do it for you anyway. So that's a good trick to know. Let's see if we can make a bigger window. Okay. So here we are. And the call, maybe, yeah, I don't know where it is now, but oh, it should be somewhere nearby. Where's our call? Here. 3F0, right? So we're calling to 403F0. 403F0, here. Okay, so it says jump queue. Oh, this is this is a nice 64-bit little thing that they do a lot. A lot of the calls or jumps are relative to the instruction pointer. That's not available in a 32-bit machine. It's great because it makes all the code position independent. Any jump like this becomes position independent automatically because your instruction pointer here is going to be where you are at the moment. So you can just say, oh, whatever is 500 bytes before me. Unfortunately, it makes it a little difficult to read it because you have to always add your instruction pointer, which is going to be this, right, plus that. Fortunately, now GDB is being nice, so that's the actual address of the GOT entry that we're looking at. Okay, so let's take a look at that entry. I'm going to need a hot tea after this. Okay, so I'm printing the value of our GOT entry. Here's another nice trick. That looks like nothing. It's some decimal number. We don't deal with decimal around here. /x. Oh, here's a nice value. Okay, 3F6. So it's going there. So I was wrong. I wasn't pushing 1. It's pushing 0. The 0th entry. If you look a little further down, oh, we can't. Oh yeah, we can. There's one more. libc start main. Good. So there's only 2 entries in our PLT. Right? There's this puts, and then there's this libc start main, which we don't actually see, but I think we looked at this before, right? Whatever actually starts main in the code. But okay, so for this code, we're jumping to the global offset table, which has this entry. That's going to jump right back here. Now we're pushing a 0 onto our stack, and then we jump to this address. And that's that looks like it's a
Which address can you wiggle your mouse with?
here. I should have a fatter mouse pointer, huh? Okay, so that address, for some reason, that's not in our global offset table. Maybe that's also different between the 64-bit and the 32-bit. Let's see what it is. What? Let's see. So we're jumping. Oh, that's here.
I thought it was like it was something else.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so there's yet another jump. Okay. So I bet, yeah, so it's the same story, but there was actually one more piece in it now. So now we're jumping not to the global offset table pointer, like I said. We're jumping up here, which then puts a global offset value on the stack, and then jumps to something from the global offset table. Okay, so there's an extra piece there. So what could this be all about? Why are we putting something more on the stack? We already put a 0 on the stack. Why are we putting this on the stack?
That knows where to jump back to.
Probably it's sort of the base address to know of where is this global offset table, or something like this. Let's take a look and see what it is. Maybe we can figure it out. So we're going to do a lot of this for the next homework. We might as well exercise a little bit of reverse engineering. Let's see. We will probably want to print the address over there. See if we recognize it. Oh, that doesn't look very recognizable.
So the actual global offset table is sitting at that address?
No, this is the, yeah, so the global offset table is 8 bytes before this. And we can actually see that if we go in here. You see the, oh, rat. Yeah, read elf minus a HW, right? No, hello. Woo! That was close. All right. Where is our GOT? All right. Okay. So FE0 F0 F. Oh, where are you? FE0. Yeah. So we're starting 16 bytes before that address. Looks like, oh no, so this is actually not the global offset table, this is global offset table PLT, right? That starts 8 bytes into it. Alright, so you add 8 to this, you get this value. So I don't know what the first address is, maybe that's this one. What's that? No, that's 8 more bytes into it. Okay. Well, that didn't do us much good, so let's see what's on this one then. Perhaps that will be a little more helpful. Alright, so I thought we could disassemble this, because we're jumping to it, so it's going to be some code over there. Let's see what it does. Whoa. Oh, I've lost my connection again. Great. Really? So there isn't anything there right now. Okay, that doesn't matter. I don't know what's going on, but I'll try to figure that out too and post it on Piazza. It'll be good to know what is that extra argument that we're putting on the stack. But we're not running the program yet, right? So our PLT is still got just junk in it, or these boring pointers, or the GOT just has the boring pointers, I should say. So let's just take one more look at this here to see what the value was. Quit. Dereference. Okay, so there's the current value. Now I want to put a... Oh, we're already running our program, so I'll just take a step. So it printed out my hello world, and now we're after the hello world. So now we should have a different value in our global offset table. Aha! Right? So that ought to be the beginning of printf. Let's see if that works out. Let's assemble. Oh, come on. What's this now?
You jumped out of main, so it's possible that it's got rid of it.
No, but the program hasn't finished executing, has it? No. We're still in there.
And no, wait, that address could be something different. It's in the location we found that address.
No, that's the, I mean, that's the, oh, maybe we should double check here, but I think that puts, oh, No, still. This really ought to be it. Alright, 600. Yeah. Yeah. And we're jumping to just to there, so that's where the code is. Why can't we see it? Well, that beats me. Okay, well, so I wanted to show off, let's see. I was really hoping we could get that address, but I guess...
It's not because there's anything to do with being puts except printf, right? It doesn't matter.
I'd be surprised, yeah. Okay, anyway, we're going to have to move on a little bit. So I wanted to try one thing more with the with external variables, because we've not really dealt with this. So I want to do a quick library, call it lib, and we'll have a function, call it inc, and we'll have an int value. So this value is something that will start out at 0, and then it's going to increment every time we call inc, and that's our entire library. All right? So for that to be useful, we have to be able to access our library. So we'll say extern int, what was it called? Val. Right? Value. Okay. So this is my .h. So here I'm just exporting, I'm telling other people that, okay, there exists a variable called value that you may use later on. So now we make a, do we have a main already? No, we do. Well, let's see, lib user. So I'll include lib.h. So this, all this is going to do now is insert that one line. Extern int value, right? This include lib doesn't do anything more. And then I have my main, and I just want to printf it a few times. Value is %d inc. Oh, actually we have to put a header for the inc too, otherwise we'll get a compiler complaint. It may actually work. It's going to link. It probably won't break, so we can try without. We'll do this a few times just to see it work. First, we will compile it with a libuser.c. lib.c. We'll compile it directly, and that should just make just a standard binary. So this will hopefully work nicely, right? And if we were to GDB and disassemble this, we'll just see direct references to this one int. Nothing special here, except for that extern. Right. So actually, just to make this very clear, let's try one more thing. I'll remove this extern here. So now what's going to happen without the extern? Now we get in libuser, we'd get a declaration of this value, saying, yeah, I own this value symbol. And then my library also says, I own this value symbol. And then we try to link the two. They'll both compile fine into .o files. And that happens behind the scenes. We don't see that happen. But they'll both compile fine into .o files. But when we try to link them, we'll have two places that are called value with any luck. Great.
Doesn't care.
What? Oh, actually, so what happens then? Why does that even work? Let's try this. But we do it like this. So yeah, maybe it is idiot-proof, but I don't know how it can. I don't know how that works. That doesn't.
That's also magic.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. There's magic. Okay, so now we have our two .o files, in those, there ought to be one of those symbols in each. So now if I try to link the two,
Like someone developed DWIM.
someone developed what?
DWIM, do what I mean.
Do what I mean. Ah, yes, that's a good paradigm. Well, this sort of thing ought to teach me not to try things impromptu in class, but it never does. Okay.
Are you filling the header with both?
That's not necessary because lib.c is actually declaring int value over here. Oh, there it is. Only one of them has an initializer, and so that maybe it's a little bit of the idiot proofness there. Let's try to put an initializer here, and now you'll see. So it doesn't actually care. If it's not initialized, for some reason it doesn't care if you compile it into a single binary. But, oh yeah, that was the .o files there. Here. Okay, good. So let's see. Why is it safe to... I suppose if you don't initialize your variable, you don't know what's going to happen anyway.
You don't initialize it, you never use it. And if you never use it, you might as well script
We
it.
never used it. Yeah, so... Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why it's safe to do it this way. But either way, so now we have two definitions of it. That's not what you want. So extern just says, oh, there's going to be one somewhere. Figure it out later. Okay, compile this. Just run it for once. Okay, we're good. So now I want to make a dynamic library out of this. So we'll say gcc pick, right? My library, and put it in a dynamic, and put it in a file called lib.so. Is it 1 dash probably? Whoa.
No, that just...
Oh, shared. It's not dynamic. It's called shared. Yeah, it didn't like that much. Okay. There it is. All right. So we have our lib.so, and now we should be able to link again. I'll say link my libuser.c with lib.so, and we'll run it again. Yeah, we have the same thing. So in order to get that to work, library path dot. Do we not have an initializer anywhere now, or what's going on? That one's an extern. We initialized it.
Does one take precedence of the other?
There's only the one of them. Well, what I had hoped would happen here is that we would see a reference through the GOT to this code. Let's just see if that's actually what's happening. And if that's not the case, then we'll just call it a day. Okay, so, that's our main, right? Okay, so where is our I? Yeah, so it calls. These are both dynamic calls, but that was not the interesting part. The interesting part was where's our value? Oh, hold on. What does my program really do here? Did I just write a broken program? I think so. I wasn't main. Libuser. I did it again, didn't I? I wrote bad code. Yeah, this ink here, it doesn't actually return anything. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put a value, right? Okay, and then we call ink. That's what we're supposed to do here. My inc function doesn't return anything. So the only reason it worked, this is great. The only reason it worked when we had it locally compiled is that we happened to stick them in the right place. When we're doing the computation with the inc, right, we anyway have the values in EAX. We're doing the increase, or is it an EDI, or wherever. And then printf looks for it in the same place. So it was just a side effect. But now with the dynamically linked version, it doesn't do it the same way. So for whatever reason, like maybe it isn't sitting on the stack where we expected it or something. So then we just got garbage. All right, but it was only a side effect that made it work in the first place, so that's not good. Let's make code that always works. All right, backing up. That's oh yeah, we want to compile this anyway. That's it. So I want to run the original code. Zero, 1, 2, very good. And then we'll run it with our .so. Come on. That wasn't it. Okay, so now we've compiled it with the .so. Let's try that again. Okay, still works. Very nice. And then finally, let's try to GDB this to see the assembly, because I want to see how we actually find that error, right? Remember that, not the error, the value. That's part of our dynamically loadable library. You can have another program using the same code. Of course, they don't use the same inc. Oh, sorry, the same value. They use the same inc, but they don't have the same value. That would be really weird. You have two programs, they're both calling inc, and they get each other's increments. That's not what you want, really, from a shared library. So somehow there are two separate instances of these variables, but the code itself is shared. So that's managed through virtual memory. There's a little piece of memory that has a separate page where you keep your variables for the shared library. And those are all private to every application. Yeah.
So it's copying that external value and using it. It's not actually using that external value.
It's using it, but it doesn't. It has its own of that. So the shared library, it looks like. It's a shame that we're running out of time, but here's our shared library code. Right, this is a shared section. Everyone sees the same code exactly. Then there's a little piece here. This is globals, library globals. And this part, you actually get your own copy.
Oh,
Every program has its own copy, but it sits in the same place. The only way that works is through virtual memory. Right, so you get a copy of that part. All right, but I wanted to, just before we wrap up, see how this actually works. So how do we get our value out of here? Here it is. Huh. Oh, interesting.
It loads it into a temporary value from.
No, so this is relative to the instruction pointer, so it's a different place every time, relatively. So this is actually, it looks like this is actually sitting in a well-known location for the application. So it became a shared variable, a variable for the application, I think. It's not sitting with the, actually, where is this address? We don't have enough time.
That's 601. Yeah, 601.028.
Yeah, so this looks like the that looks close to the GOT. Anyway, it's in our binary. It's not in this shared library. So it looks like this int actually ended up in our library. In which case, we really want to know what's happening with our inc. Because how does the inc find? So let's just do that too. Oh, right. Fine, we can't do that because that's in the PLT. So now we have to follow that through. Okay, we'll have to do it next time. But we'll see that the inc code. Actually, it needs to look up where is this variable before it can increment it, and the variable happens to sit in the binaries segment. But okay, I'll either post this on Piazza or we'll do it next time.